Okay, now we will come back to that discussion that we had. I've told you from lexicon, we were discussing about that various ethical issues. Now, what type of question? This is direct only. Corporate social responsibility, directly they will ask you. Even the ethical issues with respect to corporate social responsibility, they will ask you. Implementation issue with respect to corporate social responsibility, they will ask you. Or they will give you a case study that you are the head of this particular company and you have to, you will come across this particular situation. So in what all way you can manage it, like that you will get questions. It can be case study, it can also be theoretical, pure direct answer. Okay, so now we will discuss about that ethical issues that we were talking about. So we stopped at elderly or the old age people. Now we will discuss about the ethical issues involved with children. So main issues I will discuss, you can develop upon that. One of the most important problem is bonded labor, or we can use the word child labor, that will be better. Okay, but some of the child labor are bonded labor also, like because of indebtedness of the father. Okay, this child might be pledged in with another person, so that then it become bonded labor. It will become child labor as well as bonded labor. Otherwise the child is just working, that is what child labor. And we can talk about various examples, Shivakashi and all those crackers manufacturing company, glass manufacturing companies in Tamil Nadu. All these examples you can write. Okay, there's a big issue, which is a very ethical, very important issues, which is having huge ethical significance. Okay, this bonded labor or the child labor, the time, the age that they should enjoy and that should contribute for their mental and physical development, but they are spending the time in hazardous industries like crackers industries and this glass industries, etc. There's a very worst situation. Okay, and it will affect them very badly, emotionally, physically, mentally, in all way. So that is something which is a very high ethical concern. How can you solve this? That is very big question. Okay, and then there you can talk about this Right to Education Act. Okay, 86th constitutional amendment. All these things points has to be brought in. The duty of the parents, the fundamental duty. Okay, all this has to be brought in with respect to this right to life. Or Article 21, just like that you can write. And even fundamental right, it is the abolition of child labor is there. But so all those things you need to mention. Okay, that is one point when it comes to the children, ethical issues with respect to children. Apart from that, you can talk about the issue with respect to nutrition. Okay, so nutrition issues you need to write. And violence against child, the child pornography and this exploitation of children for as sex in the sexual ways also. So all those can be written here. So these are the problems that the children are facing mainly. And safety of the child, especially in the new digital world. Okay, so these are main issues which we have to look into. We will get the case studies, we'll discuss some situations, maybe one or two issues from this we can pick it, whatever is asked in the exam, and we can discuss when we discuss about the case studies. But these are the main issues from where the questions can be expected. Child trafficking, that is this organ for, or all those things you can write. Injecting the hormones to the very small or the children for the for making them a sex worker. All this you can write. Okay, child trafficking, this organ smuggling, and all those things you can write. Women, we have discussed one of the most important issue that was related to sexual harassment at the workplace. That once we have discussed. Otherwise, the common issues with respect to women, you can talk about inequality. Okay, or there is a lack of parity. Even in family also, and in society also, in terms of wages in family, in society. Okay, in family, various dimensions of discrimination you will see in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of food, and everywhere you can see that discrimination. inequality. So in society, mainly in terms of wages. And you can also talk about this glass ceiling effect. I hope you know about this glass ceiling effect, that a male and female counterpart are entering at a position at the same time, but the kind of promotion that they are going to get will be different. Or A, B, both will get promotion equally at a particular level, at this level. Beyond that, the male person, maybe like the chairperson, chairman, and all this position, the male will go, because this is a ceiling. What ceiling is that? Nobody knows. That's why glass ceiling. It cannot be seen. It is not visible. It is there in the patriarchal society. Okay. Violence against women, indecent representation. Okay. So, anything else you want to add here? Many. Basically, we need to discuss about inequality, violence, indecent representation. Sexual harassment, we have done. Domestic violence, that will come part of violence itself. Okay. Next issue will be with respect to LGBT. Not yet asked, but there is a high chance that this can be asked. Even you can actually expect a question in your GS paper 1 also with respect to LGBT. Even there is a potential to be asked as an essay question also, but still you should be knowing about this. Okay, what are the main issues that they are facing? Again, all this exploitation, harassment, violence, all these problems that we have discussed, they also face this. Discrimination is most important problem. It affects the question of survival itself. Okay, and that is actually against the right to life. They also have the right to life. They also have the freedom of speech and expression. But all these rights are almost denied in the society. Okay. Then you can talk about lack of acceptance in society. Then unequal healthcare, facility for education, all these you can write. Exploitation. Exploitation, problems with respect to education. So when education is not proper, that will lead to, or that will land them in poverty. So there's actually a vicious cycle, so that it will continue, right? This no education, no employment, then poverty, like that. And then even the police also is actually against them. So what can be done? We need to sensitize the society. We need to sensitize the police system and everything. So that can be one solution. See, two people, the consenting adults, what they are doing in their house, in their room, why others are so much concerned about that, right? So we should not interfere in all those things. Neither the law should not interfere in those things. But this 377 is no more there, but still there is a big issue, right? Apart from that, social security is a big problem for them. Okay, so all these are the main issues which is affecting the LGBT community. Recognition, acceptance, that's a problem. Anything else which you wish to add here? Okay, now other is, see, in case if you need to have some good knowledge about all these social issues, there is a book that you can read that will help you in your essay and your GS, and to an extent your essay also. These, you will get more ideas with respect to the problems that different sections are facing. That is Ram Ahuja, Social Problems by Ram Ahuja. Okay. Ethical issues involved in differently abled. So this is a general one. What are the main problems? They again face the problem of psychological and infrastructural barrier. So unequal opportunity for employment, and attitudinal barrier, psychological issues, acceptance is an issue. Okay, and exploitation is still there. Lack of education. They are facing a lot of barriers in getting education. Okay, and social security. All these are something which will come under this also. All these are ethical issues. Okay, all these are their problems, and all these are their ethical issues. So if you see all these people have the right to life just because they are a human. They have the human rights, and you will see in most of the cases those rights are violated. Okay, so that is totally unethical. So just because they are human, they have the human rights, and just because they are, when we talk about the citizens, they have the right under the constitution, right to life. Okay, so, and more than that, ethically, only purely in ethical terms, if you talk about every individual, just because he is a human being, he is having an intrinsic value. Okay, so when that intrinsic value is there, every other have to respect that intrinsic value. This is something which we have discussed much before. Okay, now one of the most important difficult situation that is related to health and healthcare. Nowadays, this is getting so much of privatization, corporatization of healthcare that lead to a lot of issues. So you see, just people, the patient is just kept in the ventilator to loot the, bystander or the family. So that is what actually happening now. Increasing privatization, corporatization, and increase of cost of medicines. This is one issue, and the doctor and the nexus with the pharma companies. Okay, almost all the doctors in general, they collide or they collude. This is also corruption, right? They collude with the pharma companies, and they will force to buy the medicine of that company so that the doctor will get the gift. Okay, so this will automatically lead the patient to buy the medicine at a very high price from the particular, especially post COVID. Yeah, these COVID corona related question may be expected this year. Okay, even though in prelims they have not asked anything, but you can expect a case study maybe, especially with respect to healthcare, at least in the context of selfless duty done by many healthcare workers. So in price of that also, you can expect most of the nursing staffs and all. See, when I'm talking about healthcare issues here, I'm only focusing on what? I'm only focusing on the issues. I'm not talking about the good aspect. A lot of good things are there. So I'm not discussing about that. I'm just highlighting the ethical issues that can come across. Okay, and that we are facing now. From where you can expect question. I'm not ignoring the fact or neglecting the fact that a lot of selfless doctors and nurses and nursing staff, they are working 24 hours to even during this COVID pandemic to treat the COVID patients. That is something which is very great. Okay, so the price of medicines is going high. Okay, why? Due to privatization and this corporatization. And then this patents is actually increasing the cost of medicines, right? When a company is taking patent upon a medicine, automatically the price. I hope you know the case of this Naxavir drug, which was produced by Bayer, the MNC. It cost around 3 lakh, which is a cancer drug related to cancer. So the patent, because of the patent, right? And it was allowed one of the Indian company, I don't remember exactly the name, I think Natco Pharma, to produce the same medicine. Under which scheme? Any idea? There is a scheme called compulsory licensing. Okay, so under compulsory licensing, Indian Patent Office can ask, because this is a life-saving drug, this Nexavir, and it is also not affordable. In those grounds, Indian Patent Office under compulsory licensing, upon paying a marginal patent fee or royalty like 6%, asked Natco Pharma to produce the same drug. And you know how much is the cost once Natco Pharma produced the drug and sold it? It was 8,000. So you see the huge difference. Why you are paying this difference? It is for this, because of this royalty and patent. So here, upon paying you are asking, what is compulsory licensing? In this kind of cases, the patent office that particular country can request the domestic manufacturer to produce the same medicine by paying reasonable amount of royalty, the 6%. Then you see now it is affordable. And this case was there in Supreme Court, and finally Supreme Court also observed that this is a life-saving drug and it is also not affordable. So in that ground only we won the case. Okay, and after that only India was put on priority watch list by US. Okay, with respect to this issue of patent. Now, what do you mean by evergreening of patent? Suppose you have the patent on this particular drug. Okay, now what you will do is this patent is for 20 years. So this patent is actually for 20 years. Now, what the manufacturer will do is, if it is like 19 years and all, when the patent is going to expire, they will change some chemical formula. They will make some minor modification and they will apply for the patent again by saying that there's an improved product like that, and they get the patent again. This is what evergreening of patent. So how can you solve this? In case of these kinds of drugs, compulsory licensing. Okay, this is also a question of ethics. Can the patent office of a country will is it possible, is it ethical to give this, because this is actually affecting the innovation and the hard work put by the other party? So that is also an ethical question. Okay, so you should be in a position to analyze, you should be in a position to take the net balance. Here the Supreme Court was of the opinion that this is of life-saving drug and it is not affordable for the poor people. So in that context, this is actually allowed. Okay, we were talking about healthcare, and what are the other issues? Pricing, doctor, nexus. Apart from that, rural urban problem, right? Rural population have very less amenities and facilities for better health facility. Most of these private hospitals, these corporates, they're confined to the urban areas, not in the rural areas, right? Even the government hospitals also have not have adequate facility to take care of the population. And then you can talk about medical ethics to solve the problems that we have discussed, right? Follow the code of conduct, follow the medical ethics, etc. You can also expect a question which is related to this corona time. The selfless help or the services. Don't say help, selfless service which is done by the doctors and the encashing the fear of the people. That is what actually doing now. It is because of corporatization, encashing the fear of the actually, you see, you got some minor chest pain and you go to hospitals, what all things they will ask you. But during corona time, all these angioplasty and all the surgeries have reduced actually. So then problem of with participation, community participation, no others are participating, there is no social audit, that is not possible. Also transparency, accountability, that is again a problem here. Okay, this organ transplantation, organ mafias prevailing, and most of the hospital or some of the hospitals are very much associated with this illegal activities also. Okay, and other issue that you can talk about is, we have discussed about rural urban, so unequal access to the healthcare. So when we discuss about rural urban, unequal access to the healthcare, female male unequal access to the healthcare. Okay, next issue, genome editing. Yeah. Okay, now what is this genome editing? It is actually the ability of changing the DNA of an organism. Okay, so you can change the DNA of an organism, and you can add some genetic material, you can remove some genetic material, or you can alter at particular locations in the genome. So there is an ethical question here, whether humans should alter the genetic material or not, right? So now here, in which context you are doing this? Maybe some illness will be there for the parents, genetic disease will be there, so to solve that you may be doing it. Okay, so it is good in the context of genetic diseases, so that the newborn child also have the right to life, not only right to life, right to dignified life. So when you have this genetic disorder, it will affect the dignified life, right? And it will affect the future also. So in that context, it is accepted. But the problem is, you are not getting the consent of the person, right? You are not actually getting the consent of the child. That is a big ethical question. Secondly, if you see, you don't know the consequences which is going to happen in the future. So much of experimentation is not done. So these are the problems with respect to gene editing or the genome editing. So I hope you understood what you mean by this change in DNA. Okay, so the ethical issues, it is actually the positives, arguments in favor. If you see, in case of any genetic issue, any genetic disease, that can be solved, right? So like hemophilia, sickle cell disease, or fibrosis. There are different diseases. These are genetic diseases that can be taken care if you do this. That is one argument in favor of this. Okay. So that is actually the right to life also. Right to, rather than right to life, right to a dignified life, and also better treatment for that disease. In fact, it is going to be the cheaper treatment. That problem can be permanently solved to an extent. So that lead to equity and well-being of the newborn child. That is also his right. Okay. And when you see from the parental side, it is the duty and responsibility and the of the parents also to give a good life to the child, and it is a right of the parent also to have a good life for the child. So parental rights and responsibility or duties. Okay. And this human life with dignity that I've written here, and then justice, obviously. Okay. So these are the positive arguments you can make, out of which what is the most important ones? This one, this one, this one. These are the most important points. Now negatives. This can be asked as your GS3 science and technology question also. There may be a possibility of a general question which you can expect, which is related to science and technology in your essay paper also. Okay, now what are the negatives? The scope and scale of editing. To what extent this can be done? Yeah, to what extent this can be done, to what extent it will go. Now you see, you can use this to change the characteristics also. You can use this to have a desired type of baby, designer baby, like a particular type of body, style of hair, style of color of eyes, all. And also you can change the intellect or the capacity, the stamina. All these things can be, added and changed and manipulated, so that newborn child is getting a lot of advantage. Okay, so that is a big ethical question. I hope you understood this point. Okay, so firstly, the scope and the scaling of editing. Then the safety is another issue. Okay, social justice and equity, like many when I'm talking about social justice and equity, means this designer babies, if it is for that purpose, it can also be used and done in that way. They have much more, mental capacity, strength, stamina. Okay, the sports capacity, everything can be altered. So to what extent you can alter, that will actually affect the equity and also the social justice. Okay, and how many people have access to this kind of technology, that is also a question. Urban rural division, you can see. Rich poor division, you can see. Have nots will not be able to use this technology, that you can see. So equality is not there even in the use of this. Okay, going against the law of the nature. Yeah. Okay, so then informed consent. This you will see in many places related to informed consent. What is this? You are not getting the consent of the baby to do this. Okay, so that is one thing that you can write. And then commercial aspect of this. Okay, and then the doctors are not informing, or even the doctors are also not clear about the consequences of this. What are the consequences which is going to happen in the future? Nobody know. No such experimentations have been done, and it may not be in the next generation, it can be in the next to next generation. So there may be a question of intergenerational equity also. Okay, so that consequences. And this cannot be done on experimental basis, right? We cannot treat human beings as the guinea pig. So it is not for experiment. This is almost like experiment. So this is also not possible with the human life. So these are these are the points that you can write with respect to genome editing. These are the positives and these are the negatives. Now, next concept is again a science and technology related topic, that is three-parent baby. Okay, now what is this concept of three-parent baby? Obviously, you can see from this question was asked in GS before. Okay, three-parent baby means there will be three parents. So now, who are the three parents? There will be a father, there will be a mother. In between, one more person is coming. That is another person. Let's say X. X is a female. Okay. The reason is this female, the mother, have some mitochondrial issues. Okay, so three parental baby means it is also known as mitochondrial replacement therapy. So what is done is, when the mother is having some mitochondrial issue which has to be replaced with a proper one from this lady. Okay, the egg of this mother will be taken, and the damaged portion where the problem with this is there, that has to be replaced with this person's mitochondria. So that is the reason why three people are involved. That is why three parent baby. But the contribution of this mitochondria is hardly 0.025% only in the total egg part. So it's not like there is no question of mothership or anything changing. Just because the third person is involved, it is known as three parent baby. Okay, so I hope you understood. Nucleus of the mother, that will be taken. Okay, the unaffected part of this person will be taken and replaced, and obviously it will be done in vitro fertilization. Okay, now what are the arguments in favor of this? See, already it is understood that mitochondrial issues is there. So the mothers, it is different from surrogacy. In case of surrogacy, what is done? Either any of these people, either the father or the male or female have some issue, then what is done? If the problem is with the male, then you will go for artificial insemination, right? So you will get that from other person, and then through in vitro fertilization, it will be delivered through the mother itself. If the problem is with the mother, what will be done is, they will be the parents. The semen from the father and the egg from the mother will be taken, and then just use it in the other woman's womb. So that the job of this lady is to deliver the baby only, carry the baby and deliver it. That's it. That is surrogacy. That is an entirely different concept. In that context, this person have no role at all in the baby, just a carrier. That's it. It is pure from father and mother. Like you can see in some of the cases of actors, the Sunny Leone have done that, right? So you don't want to, damage your body. So you can, but you will get your, you just not carrying. That's it. Your own baby only. But in some cases, the father may be the original person, egg may be donated. Some cases, mother is capable, but father is not capable, means semen may be donated. That is also possible. But in some cases, both these are the real parents, but just because this lady is not ready to carry, it will be done by other carrier. That's it. That is an entirely different concept. Okay, there also three persons are involved, but we won't say that as a three parent baby, because the third person have no role, just only carrier. Okay, now what are the ethical support or arguments in favor of three parent baby? It is the right of the child to have a dignified life, right? Right to life is part of the child, so that is their dignified life, and it is the right of the mother also. Right of mother also to have a healthy child, right? So the child also have a right to have a dignified life and disease-free life. Okay, that right is there, so that is an argument in favor. Then even when we talk about this mitochondrial DNA, then it is having very less role. It is not 0.025, but even then 0.54% of the total DNA, and it is not part of the nuclear DNA. Nuclear DNA is actually coming from the original mother only. Okay, that nuclear DNA only determines the personal characteristics and personality, hair, eye, the color and everything. But that will be coming from the mother only. This mitochondrial DNA which is damaged will be taken from this third parent. That contribute this much of the total DNA. So this is very least significance, not even 1%, right? So if you see this, original mother is contributing 0.946. So, okay. Then right to mother, right to parenthood, rationality, all this we have discussed. So if you see, three parent baby is virtually similar to IVF, and have difference of 37 genes only. Okay, from the newly added, there is a difference of 37 genes only out of 23,000 genes. Okay, so if IVF is allowed, there is no problem in allowing this also. You got it. In case of IVF, all these from the original parents. In this case, 37 difference will be there, so that is negligible, like what I've told you, 0.054. So if IVF can be allowed, this also can be allowed. Now, second, the arguments against. If you see, embryo also have a personhood. That means it is unethical to destroy the unwanted embryo generated during research. As an embryo, as a personhood, and as equal right as an adult, right? The embryos also have the equal right, and ethical principles are applicable in the context of embryo also. Secondly, the risk versus compensation. If you see the risk of the third parent while donating the egg, and the compensation in terms of monetary compensation or whatever she's getting may not be equal. Okay, but if this is the argument against, this is applicable in case of IVF also. In case of IVF also, you are taking the egg, and while taking the egg, some procedure is there, maybe some minor surgery is there, right? Some procedure is there while taking the egg, but that is applicable in case of IVF. So if IVF is allowed, this also can be allowed. But just for criticizing, writing some arguments against, you can write this. Okay, then the consequences, unforeseeable consequences. Yeah, unforeseeable consequences. You don't, almost similar to genome editing, no? This is the one which we have discussed there also. Then one which we have discussed in genome editing, that is related to the informed consent. You're actually not getting the consent of the newborn baby, right? And then the psychological and emotional well-being of the child. Okay, almost all these are similar to what we have discussed in the context of genome editing. Access to technology. Not everybody has access to technology. There is a difference between rural, urban, rich, poor, haves and have-nots, etc. Right? So rural women who have also the same problem is not getting this access. But if that is a criticism, that is applicable in all, even general healthcare also. There is a access to healthcare with respect to rural, urban, rich, poor. That division is already there in any way, any context. Now, I hope you know about artificial intelligence, like computer programming will be taking care of human intelligence, and whatever humans are doing, that the computer programming can do. So what are the ethical concerns here? I'll just quickly discuss and we'll wind it up. It may lead to unemployment. Okay, so human beings are replaced with the computer programs. Inequality. Okay, and then security issues will be there, because to what extent you can rely on the computers and the computer programs. All these issues you can write with respect to artificial intelligence, and you can think over, and you will be able to add more and more points. Okay, any doubts from the discussions that we have done so far? All are general in nature. I just want to tell you the ethical dimensions of these topics. There's directly there in your chronicle. You can have a reading of that in detail. You will find it over there. And then when it comes to the case studies and the questions, we will discuss more in detail of what all things we have done. I think most of these things that we have discussed, case studies are coming. Not all. We won't get time for all, but most of them we will be discussing. Okay, so we will stop here.